I've never had a chance to actually test a Ram Rebel and a Chevy Silverado side by side, and we have them both together and they look really good, really good. Man, in the comment section, which one are you taking? So today we're going to be testing acceleration, we're going to be testing MPG, and we're going to really see which truck is the better performer. By the way, let's look at these tires. Man, I cannot wait to see how the Bilstein shocks and these Rancho shocks are going to handle on the road. This is a good test. I think it's only fitting to take out the Chevy first, because I think the Ram's going to win this today. This one has the eTorque system. It doesn't have as many gears, however, so it is down there, but it does have a 392 versus a 323. This is a good test. This is a good test. Man, I am so excited. All right, so I don't know, guys, which one looks better? I don't want to be biased, but I have two American trucks with the American flag waving in the background. Come on, that's amazing. Alrighty, so we had to get some gas really quickly, so we're gonna go ahead and start the fuel economy run right here. So I got to reset the trip one. All right, no cars coming to the right. Now I think that the stop-start function in this truck is probably disabled, if it even has one. I don't see it in here. But man, I cannot wait to see how well this does in comparison with the Ram. Aerodynamics, all that stuff does play a role in these trucks. I don't know if you guys hear that. It sounds like a humming sound coming from the tires. Just a little bit. This is very, very smooth. I'm going about 45 right now. I'm going to set the cruise control. And I just hear like a little bit of noise from the tires. It's not terrible, it's just like a little bit of like a hum. The steering feel is nice and tight for the most part. And if you don't know, this truck has an independent front suspension too. 10-speed transmission. Unfortunately, GM does not allow you to see what gear you're in, which would be very helpful in this test, but nevertheless, we won't cry too much today. How about that? So what I'll do is, when I get up to the end of this road, I always do a 0 to 60. I know you go like to 70 just to give me some more space, but we'll see how well this bad boy does. But so far, just going just a mile, 15.3, 15.4. It's very windy today, so that's going to be a factor. The roads we're going to be on today are going to be kind of hilly, so that's going to be a factor. And so I'm not expecting to see great numbers today, so this should really be worst case scenario here. Now, under the hood of the Chevy Silverado, you do have a 5.3 liter V8 good for 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque, and it is mated to a 10-speed transmission. Visibility is pretty good. This is a really big grab handle for the most part. But let's go ahead and line up. So there's definitely some cars coming. So let me just go ahead and stop right here. This would be the same spot as for the Ram. So let's go to miles per hour. Here we go. Not bad. Not bad at all. I did a video on a Traill Boss. It was a used one. I think I'll post it before this footage, but the guy who owned it, or girl who owned it, whoever, I don't know who owned it obviously, but they took the tires off, and I think it's because these tires are kind of loud, and I believe it was a 20-inch wheel too. But there's definitely some road noise coming in, and it's definitely audible. I think it would be a little annoying for me just to ride without the radio on, so I can't wait to test the Ram Rebel because I haven't driven one of those in a while, so hopefully this should be a good comparison for you guys. But so far, I'm running at 65 miles an hour in cruise control, and we're at 13.7. And I don't know if you guys can see these RPMs. We're about to go on some flat ground here. We're just under 1500 RPMs. This is a 10-speeder, like I said. So that's pretty low actually for, you know, for a gas engine. Pretty good. Alrighty, so this is the midpoint. We've gone 6 miles, 16.1 MPG. So the headwind is definitely affecting the fuel economy. I was hoping to get a little bit better, but at this point, normally I'm at like 17 or 18 probably, but it's just gonna drop down. Actually, I'm sorry, this is trip 2. I might have hit the button by mistake. Here you go. So that's trip 1. All right, we gotta get back up to 65. We're going up a little bit of an incline. Set the cruise. Here we go. I will say the retro shocks really do work well on road. I know you guys can hear that headwind. It's bad. It's really bad. But yeah, the retro shocks, very, 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 very comfortable. Like, it dampens all the bumps in the road. Like, that's one thing I like about these off-road packages, because they do give it a little bit softer shock. The ride just gets improved with it. And if I like turn the wheel, it's just really responsive. I mean, the Chevy trucks, or I should say GM in general, they have independent front suspension for all their trucks, and it does help with on-road manners. The Silverado does play a good role in this segment, and I think a lot of guys do select this brand just because of how well it handles on the road. I think that Ram's air suspension is probably a little bit better, you know, when it comes down to comfort, but I would say that it's not a huge difference with this setup. Apart from the tires being noisy, they do have a nice comfort too. There's a little bit of jolts you're going to get from an aggressive tire, and there's no exception to this one. There's definitely a few things I'm feeling in the road, but overall it's still really comfortable. And yeah, it handles really well. The steering's great. Great truck. I could definitely buy something like this and be happy with it for long term. It is a little harder to live with this interior, you know, day to day. But if you don't really care about a lot of frills, if you don't care about, you know, having a red interior like that Ram, this is definitely easy to live with. I mean, it's not gonna wow anybody, but it definitely works. Very simple, very easy to use. Back seat's pretty big. You can see that has a 640 bench. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'm very surprised how well this truck handles. I think retro shocks, people say it's like the bottom of the barrel, but I mean, they're pretty good. They're not terrible. There's definitely better ones out there. Like, I do like the fact that Ram uses Bilsteins. But overall, I mean, I had nothing negative to say about these shocks. I mean, they're really, really doing a good job. All right, so there's one more turn after this. And then we'll be turning back in at the dealership. So looks like we're gonna be able to go right to the next stop sign. So far, 10.3 miles driven, 16 MPG. This road is going to really help us with the fuel economy because, you know, I go about 45 miles an hour on this road. So I think we might gain another MPG or 2 when it's all said and done. The 5.3 is very, very, very quiet. You almost don't even know it's a V8 until you get on it. The 10-speed, I haven't even noticed it shift at all since we've been doing this. And it just speaks to how well these cars are engineered today. I think that all the brands have just really stepped up and made cars a lot better for us as a consumer. As far as comfort goes, as far as towing goes, everything just works really well. You know, 20 years ago, trucks were never this nice. And even if you get a base model, you get so many features now. It's almost hard to believe that you're buying a base model. So, although I will say base models today are almost the same price as the luxury models of back in the day too. So that's something else to consider. But overall, I'm really happy on this back road going up and down these grades. It's a little bit of hills. The shocks are just dampening it so well. I'm really kind of nervous for the Ram. Like, this is really good driving truck. I don't think I've driven one of these brand new, so I'm really interested to see how well the Ram's going to compare with this one, because it's got a mountain to climb right now. Alrighty, 17.3, 12.6 miles driven. I wasn't expecting that, actually. I think I was thinking we will end off around, you know, 16.8, 16.9, so got a little bit better than expected. And we're just gonna stop kind of like right in the middle of this Ram here. There we go. So that's the next we're gonna be driving. 12.7 is the distance, 17.3 MPG. We got the Ram 1500 Rebel. Let's see what it's gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset the fuel mileage here. Oh wow, check that out. Stop start came on. The Ram said we're gonna win this today. So this truck does have MDS, and the GM truck that we drove had active fuel management, but I think that those systems don't work because of the chip shortage. So that might be something you might have to consider, but I'm actually sitting here longer at this, I guess you can call this the intersection, but it's not affecting my fuel mileage because the engine was off the entire time. So we're getting ready to head on. Oh, we're about to stop again. But it doesn't matter because this truck has this multi-displacement, it has this stop-start function, and because this is eTorque, it does work a lot better too. So we'll go ahead and get down the road here. I'll check back in once we get at least a mile on the truck, okay? Alrighty, so far we've gone about 1.4 miles. One thing I like about the Ram so far is that you can see it just popped on. Whenever multi-displacement kicks in, it shows an eco inside of here. Now, if you want to disable the system, you could just turn this on. All you gotta do is just hit the negative, and then it'll turn it on. But a lot of people don't like these systems. GM has one, it's called Dynamic Fuel Management, and I think the old one was Active Fuel Management. So I know that some of the newer 5.3s have been having some issues because of some of those systems. So I haven't really heard a widespread of the system having issues on the Ram, but people have said that they've been having issues too. So I don't know why that is. I would probably disable it if that's the case. Always having in, you know, the manual mode. So we're about to do this 0 to 60 here in a second. Let me go ahead and set up. Under the hood of the Ram is going to be the 5.7 liter V8 with the eTorque system, and it's going to be good for 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, made it to a ZF transmission. It's going to be 8-speed, and it's called the 8HP 75. I do like the readout better on the Ram here. Here we go. I probably should turn off that stop-start function. That really messed me up just now because I didn't feel the truck go, and I might have pulled off the throttle just a little bit, but it wouldn't have mattered because the traction control came on too. So this truck does have a 392, and yeah, it spun a good bit there. Now I do hear an audible hum from these tires too, so these Goodyears do put a little bit of road noise. It's not as annoying, but once you put about 2,000 to 3,000 miles on these tires, and not just Goodyear, but any tire, you start to get even more noise. So this would get very annoying. I was thinking about getting some Goodyears for my Ram, but I'm gonna definitely keep these off my list. But yeah, there's definitely a noticeable hum. It's not as bad as what it was in the GM truck, but it's definitely there. I believe the Ram sits higher. I could just be exaggerating that, but it just feels like I'm sitting a little bit higher. But I also can feel the wind under the truck more. I'm glad it's a windy day because I didn't feel the same feelings I got from the Chevy. This one's definitely a little bit more like, it's smooth. It's definitely smooth, but I feel more sway. And I think it's because it sits a little bit higher. I don't like the steering in this one as much. It just feels like it's light, and I hate that feeling that you get when you have light steering. It just doesn't feel as secure as that Chevy did. Alrighty, so we're pretty much at the turnaround spot. 6 miles, I think that's what we did on the GM2. 15 MPG. I don't know if we're further behind or not, but we're gonna get up to 60, so we're gonna kill the gas miles a little bit. I don't know, I still have a few ways to go here. There it is, 13. But yeah, you can feel that headwind hitting this truck. But yeah, when I do that, this truck has more sway. And I may have to check the tire pressure for both trucks because that may be another factor. I'll do that when we get back. If I don't, I apologize. I may forget because my brain is always thinking of what I'm doing right there in the moment. So there's more sway in this truck. I don't like the way this one handles at all. The Chevy handles a lot better. I will give that to it. I don't know if the Bilsteins are just too light and maybe they just don't give this truck enough dampening, or I don't know what it is. It could be the coil sprung suspension. If I were to buy a Ram 1500, it would definitely have air suspension. I think that really does tighten up the feel of this overall truck. However, that system is expensive, so you have to consider that too. But I do like the setup on the GM a little bit better. That has a 2-inch lift over the standard Silverado. This has a 1-inch lift over the standard Ram, but I think this one sits a little bit higher though still. Overall, I do like the appeal of this truck a lot better. It has that off-road feel in the interior. I love this screen a lot. Something I always rave about. I love this. This is like the best part of a Ram, is that they give you this gauge summary. That way you can check all your temperatures in one spot. No one else does this better than Ram. Now, as far as the cab goes, this cab does feel a little bit bigger. But the seat is a little bit more comfortable too. I can definitely tell these seats are a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and check in here. So we got to stop. There's a lot of traffic coming. So we're at 15 MPG. Uh-oh. I don't know. I think that the Ram's gonna lose this one. There's a car coming up this way. Nice compass, actually. Alright, so we got to get up to 45. And like I said, I'll check back in once we get back to the dealership. But I don't know if we're going to be able to make up the difference here. Alrighty, so we're back. I'm very disappointed in this. I was expecting the Ram to do better. 16.4 is pretty bad, actually. Alright, so there's that Silverado. And we're going to pretty much pull it right next to it. I just noticed too that the stop-start function actually came on before I even stopped, actually. I never noticed that. So 12.4 miles driven, 16.4 MPG, 17 minutes, give or take. Is probably about this, a little bit more than what this truck did because I stopped a little bit more. But I think even with the stops, if you were to take out all the stops I had more than the Silverado, it'd probably only be like 16.5 or 16.6. I wouldn't see it being much more. So unfortunately, this truck did worse. Now, as time goes, fuel mileage does get better. And I do think overall this truck would get better because of the stop-start, the mild hybrid system, things like that. But that having a 10-speed transmission, it being geared lower numerically out back, is why the Rebel didn't do as good. And sometimes you can't really look at the numbers, like I'll show it to you here, but the fuel economy numbers on the window of the trucks, anytime you consider those numbers were probably posted by a lesser trim Ram that did not have these beefy tires, didn't have all this extra flair on the outside, like this hood. A lot of things could destroy your fuel economy, things you don't think about. So I think when they set these numbers, they're set based off of a truck with like maybe a Bighorn or a Tradesman. And when you take into account more aggressive tires, things like that, the numbers do get affected. But the GM won today. The GM definitely won. The only thing I will say is, and I think the GM's going to win the acceleration because I kind of screwed the Ram over because of the stop-start function. But the winner today is the bow tie. Bow tie for life. This is the tire pressure for the Ram. So 58, 61, 60, and 60 in the back. So on the door, it calls for front 55, rear 45. So we're higher here. So that's not the problem. Now granted, these tires are warmed up. So let's look at it on the GM. The tire pressure for the Chevy is 39 all the way around. And on the door, it says 41 all the way around. So, okay. I can't even make an excuse because it's actually lower on the GM truck. So, it didn't really even affect the fuel economy. The win goes to the Chevy. And I have to give a shout out to Criswell here in Thurmont, Maryland. They have a location in Gaithersburg, but these guys have always been very helpful for my channel. If you're in the market and you're needing to buy a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or a Chevy, or used cars, whatever, please look at their website. Be sure to let them know you saw this video because they've been really helpful, and I know that some of these videos have been helpful, and most of my footage is done here. So be sure to give them a look up and let them know you saw these videos and that you found them helpful. Thank you guys. See you soon.